So, you know, having this much concern over these issues, I took it upon myself. I actually thought very carefully, but took it upon myself to write directly to NIST. In doing so, I shared with Frank Gale, one of the project leaders of NIST, the metallurgist who had done the steel temperature testing. I shared with him that I was an employee of Underwriters Laboratories, that I had been asking questions of our top managers, and I pleaded with this guy to correct the problems that were seen in this report, the misuse of the results that had been generated. And when I wrote to him, I copied two people that I felt were doing good work in terms of trying to get the truth out about 9/11. One was Catherine Austin Fitz, who at the time was a board member of 911truth.org, and David Ray Griffin, who had written a book, and I'd been in contact with, thanking him for his book. And when this letter was read by David Ray Griffin and others, they asked me if I would agree to distribute it publicly. I did agree to do that, and the next day it was posted on the internet and read widely around the world. And 5 days later, I was fired from my job. I had actually, as soon as I saw it on the internet, I had contacted UL's Public Relations Department and let was the case. And over the weekend, I understand that UL had some top-level meetings on the issue, and they had called me a couple of times asking if I might, you know, ask people to take it down off of the internet, and asking me why I had written what I did. And I explained to them my concerns. I told them that, you know, I had no intention of asking anybody to take it down off the internet. And so, days later, I was fired. They gave me a letter of termination that stated a number of things. Poor judgment, they felt, harming their relationship with their client, NIST. And, of course, I don't agree with any of that with relation to the bigger issues at hand. So the Chief Executive Officer of Underwriters Laboratories traveled to the various locations of the company, telling people within the company that UL had certified the steel used in the World Trade Center towers. He confirmed those details in writing to me and copied other executives in the company. And then when it seemed that they had a problem in explaining the collapse of these buildings, the company known as our Global Public Safety Guardian started lying to us. So you have to ask yourself, why would this most trusted company lie to us about such an important issue? There can't be another issue that's a greater safety concern to people around the world. Why would they do that? And how do we get in this situation? We have come nearly 6 years down the road from September 11th, and many people don't even know about the basics of the story of what happened on September 11th. They're not aware of World Trade Center 7. They're not aware of Osama bin Laden's links to the CIA. They're not aware of multiple stories being given for the national air defense failures. They're not aware of conflicts of interest within the 9/11 Commission. They're not aware that the NIST World Trade Center report was created by people who not only gave us that false report, but gave us several false reports before that report, and who all essentially either work for the U.S. government through the Department of Defense, through FEMA, through NIST, or somehow profiting from the war on terror, whether it be designing the Freedom Tower or running businesses that benefit from terrorism, or profiting from large federal grants to universities they work for. People need to know these things. They need to take a look at these things. They need to know why it is they don't know about these things in the first place. So how has the major media failed us? I think it's clear that the major media has failed us, although, to be fair, to some degree, we were getting information early that people were just not paying attention to. Some things were being reported. But since then, since the first few years, and you know, to the point today where people don't get any information from the media about the World Trade Center towers, particularly. You never see the collapses on TV anymore. You never see World Trade Center 7 at all. In fact, apparently there is a policy among major networks that they're not going to show building collapses on TV. It's interesting considering those building collapses are the emotional driving force behind everything we do with government policy today. So you'd think people would want to take an extra close look at what happened on September 11th. And I think more and more people do want to take a look at it. So it's time for our media to be called out and made to do their job, regardless of what consequences they might find. But I couldn't find any attorneys at the time. It took me over a year to find, about 16 months to find an attorney that would listen to my case. And in the meantime, I now have 3 attorneys, and we are suing Underwriters Laboratories for wrongful termination. I recently heard that finally it looks like we may have survived UL's motion to dismiss, as we have a pre-trial conference scheduled for a month or so from now. The point of this legal action is to get to the truth. I don't need the money, I need the truth, and so do you. So hopefully we'll get there. There are a lot of courageous people speaking out day by day, and I think we'll get there.